Anticipated IPO that we've...
Welcome to Financial Issues, where we help you steward faithfully by honoring God with your investments. Now listen in as we give you the practical tools and advice you need to become a biblically responsible investor.
We did it, boys. Liftoff. This is Financial Issues. Liftoff day. Oh, we're so excited. Seth Sam Case, your host, your captain, Mark Manila, the captain of the ship here. Mark, how's our flight so far here on Liftoff day?
Dallas.
I'm feeling good.
Dallas, I think we have a problem.
Here's the problem. Ready? Here's the problem. The phone lines are empty right now, which means you got to call in.
Oh, my gosh. How could they
right.
be empty? We've been on air at least, 20 seconds?
That's right. Hey, folks, it is an exciting day. We want you to give us a call at 610-363-1110 here on this launch day. SpaceX going public. It is Focus Friday as well. We've got overtime later in the show. It is a busy day today. But, gentlemen, I am ready to rock and roll. Mark, you excited for Liftoff?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a historic moment. I really do believe this will go down in the history books as the beginning of the true space age. I know we've had rockets going into space. I know I've said it before. But the private sector now is taking over space. Space launches, satellites, moon villages, just vacation modules in space. All that is starting to be all the public instead of just government. So I think officially this will be the launch of the space age for us. And it also it will be historic because we might see, the largest IPO in history is going to happen in about 30 minutes. Also, probably the first single trillionaire ever. Elon Musk might hit $1 trillion today, depending on his net worth, depending on what happens with SpaceX. A lot of historic markers today. So another historic markers is you're here with us on Financial Issues, and we're talking about it. So that's awesome.
Very
cool.
historic.
Because today takes place in history. So.
It does. That's right.
That's right.
610-363-1110. Hey, Mark, let's talk about that for just a moment here. You know, there's the potential for Elon Musk to become a trillionaire today. We're hearing a lot of news as well about the potential for several new billionaires and perhaps many new millionaires.
Thousands of millionaires from people working for SpaceX.
Exactly.
Over 4,000 employees that they noted at the IPO price will become millionaires the moment that the stock starts trading.
So Mark,
I think that is awesome myself.
Yeah, I read a report said that all these real estate agents in these luxury areas, in Miami and LA,
they're
getting all these
their hands
calls
right
from
now
SpaceX
with their eyebrows up.
Yeah. They said they're already getting the calls. People are setting up shop. Yeah,
it's amazing.
That's really cool.
Mark, let's talk about that for just a minute here, because that sounds to me almost like it's too good to be true to become a millionaire overnight. What's going on with this? Is this actually possible for, a lot of these employees in these situations who are getting in at that ground level to be able to have their net worth skyrocket that much today?
Just remember, when they say overnight, what that really means is after a long, long time and many, many years, then all of a sudden overnight. Yeah. Because these employees took less pay over the years, getting SpaceX off the ground, getting Starlink off the ground. A lot of people who could have been making a whole lot at competitors of Elon's companies could have been making a whole lot more money, but instead they took stock options and stocks in the company that had no liquidity to them, but believing in what Elon Musk was doing. And so it took years upon years, and then all of a sudden, with the IPO, they finally get to realize the money that they had trusted that they would eventually see. So it really isn't overnight. It was a long time of people doing without so that they could do with much, bottom line.
Now, Mark, what about the idea that I think many normal retail investors like us have, where we're thinking, okay, we want to get in on this as soon as possible and let this thing skyrocket? Is that a possibility for people to get rich in a matter of hours with this?
Of course it is. It's very much a possibility. We've seen it before, but it's very unlikely. And that's the thing, especially when you look at the valuation of this company. I mean, it's price to sales. That's what we normally use when a company doesn't have earnings. So we can't do PEs, price to earnings. We look at price to sales. Well, the price to sales on SpaceX is almost 94. 94 times.
Sounds a little high.
Every dollar, a little high. Well, the average for the S&P 500 is 1.8. And SpaceX is 94. Think about that. Now, we're at an all-time high at the price of sales in the S&P. It's at 3.8 or 3.6 right now. I'm rounding numbers. Okay. So think about it. At an all-time high of the S&P, the average being 3.6. And SpaceX is at 94. That's so overvalued that it could take years upon years. But that never stopped the markets from going crazy. But we have to look at this. And this is the warning that I have been given everybody I know. Be careful. This is so overvalued and so overhyped that, you can respect the company. You can get excited about what Elon has done and all these kind of things, but don't get drawn into the hype. Look at the valuations. Compare it to other space companies.
I was going to ask, what about other IPOs we've seen? Something like Tesla, Facebook, some of these things that people get excited about. How
Tesla has been beat up so much by people saying it's so overvalued. Right now, where Tesla is trading at 14x price over sales.
Right. So that tells you something.
Yeah.
That's almost like 7 times less than, SpaceX is 7 times more. And Tesla was the main, people beat up on Tesla so long. You know what? I should have looked up NVIDIA. But I didn't. But anyway, all I'm saying is it's way overvalued. It's exciting. It's wonderful. If you want to get a share or two to be part of history, that's cool. But don't take your life savings and put it in it. Don't take your house money, your food money, your clothes money and put it into it. If you got a hobby and you got hobby money set aside, like maybe to buy a new guitar and you want to put it into there instead of the guitar, how could you? No, I mean, that's the kind of thing to do right now. Because nobody knows what's going to happen. Is the hype going to take it to Mars right away, the price to Mars right away? It could, but I can't see how it could stay up there because after a very short period of time, the institutions are going to start selling off just to take the benefits out of it, just to take the money out of it. Buying it for long term. Well, long term is a good idea, but it could take years. And in fact, the average IPO like this, large IPO, takes 3 years before it breaks even. So.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. How does it compare in valuation and what we can expect based on previous IPOs? That really puts it in perspective.
We can expect a rocket ride.
By the way, NVIDIA is around a 20 for price to sales.
Yeah, see, less than a quarter of what this is. And people, you go out to different sites where analysts are discussing companies, and they talk about NVIDIA like the most ridiculously overpriced company that could be. They want to see it come down. They want to see it come down. And yet it stays up and it keeps making money. So who knows? Nobody can predict the future, and I'll never try to. But I really believe from a steward perspective, we're not to be going to a casino. And that's what this feels like to me more than anything else right now. I have total confidence that Elon Musk is one of the best businessmen in the history of the United States. I have total confidence or belief that SpaceX is going to be a great company sometime. What I don't believe is it makes sense to get in at this point from an investment, even a long-time investment perspective.
Mark, that's really well said. Hey, folks, let me just remind you here, Mark and Sam and myself, we're giving you a small taste of what we went into in depth on yesterday's conference call. If you want an in-depth look at that, you got to listen to the conference call yesterday. And if you're not a partner, you can access that conference call simply by becoming a partner at financialissues.org. Just click that Become a Partner button. But I would encourage every single one of you, if you have not gotten a chance to listen to yesterday's conference call, please go and do so. Great information there, Mark. And like we were just saying, we're scratching the surface here of the depth that you went into it yesterday. So I highly encourage people, go and listen to that.
And that was a lot of fun digging into it like that. Just like doing the show is a lot of fun. And having the ability to get all your texts in our chat on our site, financialissues.org. If you're looking for a way to watch the show, the full show, financialissues.org, watch.
Every day, kids all across America are coming to school with some kind of hidden pain.
I've seen kids come in who are just so confused about what's right and what's wrong, just having no idea that God loves them. And this just breaks my heart. Crossroads has the opportunity to bring the Word of God right into the public school, to reach children right where they are.
And when we see that happen, we see God changing lives.
We want to see kids not only come to Christ, but pursue a lifelong relationship with Him. And so local churches are uniquely positioned to disciple those children as they become young adults and through their lifespan.
Crossroads comes alongside a church and provides that church with a club structure, curriculum, training, and ongoing coaching for them to run these outreaches in public schools.
If you are burdened for the children of America, consider making a donation to Crossroads Kids Club. For more information, visit reachOurschools.com. That's reachOurschools.com.
Do you know what you are supporting when you purchase mutual funds and stocks? Think about it. When you invest in a company, you make a decision to support the things that that company supports. And it may not be things that you agree with. Financial Issues is a ministry teaching people like you how to invest biblically, responsibly, keeping your investments clear of companies that may support an ungodly agenda. Learn more by going to financialissues.org. Financialissues.org.
Did you know that an unborn baby's heart beats at an average of 120 times every minute? That steady rhythm, that precious sound, that's the sound of life. Preborn partners with local pregnancy clinics across the nation to help mothers choose life, providing free ultrasounds, counseling, and the gospel of Jesus Christ. To give, just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby.
(610) 363-1110. Would love to hear from you folks. If you've got questions, we got the answers for you. You know, Mark, I think today is one of those days where we really need to be locked into our strategy, because there's going to be a lot of hype both ways. If there's excitement, there's going to be hype. If SpaceX tanks, there's going to be a lot of hype in the negative. How do we maintain that disciplined approach on a day like today, Mark?
Keeping your eyes on the Lord. I know that sounds so typical of the religious class to say these things, but it isn't. What it is a fact. As stewards, we're supposed to honor God in all we do. That includes how we invest His money. I'm not saying that He would be offended by owning SpaceX any more than He would be thrilled for you to buy it in His portfolio. But what I am saying, He wants us to be stewards and not just to go to a casino. And right now, with IPOs, that's generally a casino. Nobody knows where they're going to go. All the numbers really aren't out there yet. And all the facts aren't out there yet. So I've always stayed away from IPOs. People would ask me questions about, well, what's the rules on how quick it can release a stock if you buy it at the IPO, or if you're if you get special stock from different things like being an employee and stuff. I never even looked into them because I stayed away from IPOs. I think they're too volatile. I think they're just a little bit crazy. And yes, every now and then one goes through the ceiling and stays here, but it's very seldom. Most of the time, if they go through the ceiling, they drop like a rock, and then they stay down for quite a while, for many years. See, like I said, the larger IPOs, historically, it looks like they stay down for about 3 years before they finally come around. SpaceX might be different. I don't know. I hope it is, because there's so many great things that could come out of it. But we'll see. We'll see.
Hey, Mark, let me throw one more wrinkle at you here. Sam, no. Perhaps you may have seen this as well. So there actually, right as we speak, a growing number of protesters who are in Times Square right now, who are basically, they've set up this inflatable effigy of Elon Musk, and they're, basically they are accusing Musk, and, included in that would be SpaceX and Grok, of, some of the recent news headlines saying that Grok is able to easily allow people to create and distribute sexualized images, even images of children. What do we make of that, Mark? First of all, are those even founded accusations? And second of all, does that even conflate with SpaceX? Because that's what these protesters are claiming. Is that something we should keep an eye on, Mark?
Absolutely. Yeah. Almost any AI can do that and has done it, and that was a big deal. But you know what else can do that? Crayons. Yeah. Yeah. You know what else can do that? Pencils. You know what else can do that is Adobe Photoshop. Yeah. Cameras. Are they protesting Adobe right now because in Adobe you can go in and create these things? No, they're not. What they're protesting is wealth. They haven't worked as hard. They haven't tried as hard as Elon Musk did, so they want to.
By evidence that they can protest at 9:30 on a Friday, they don't have a job.
Why are these guys at work? My goodness.
Exactly. Everybody wants something somebody else worked and gave their whole life for. None of them probably ever slept on a factory floor trying to get the computers to work so they could get cars out and break even someday. None of them did this kind of stuff. Their jealousy is based on they want what somebody else has, and they don't think it's fair that they would have to work for it. It's very shallow is what this is. They say, we want everybody to be equal. We want equality across the board, including financially. Fine, let's have equality in working and dedication and sweating and productivity. You don't want to put into those things. You don't want that to be equal because you don't want to do it. You just want everybody else to do it and then split their money with you. That's called laziness. And the Bible talks against laziness so much, slothfulness. It's just disgusting. It's one of the big sins of the Bible, slothfulness. So, if you want things to be equal, then equalize it. If you want what Seth has, his $1 million mansions and all his Mercedes Benz and stuff, you got to be willing to work 24/7 like he has over the last 10 years.
Let's just be clear here. It's a fleet of F-150s.
Oh, I'm sorry. And obviously we're making fun of this. None of us, have gotten rich doing what we're doing here. We're doing it for God's purposes. But those who have worked real hard, and people say, well, it's ridiculous they have so much money. Yeah, and it's ridiculous you don't have money enough to take care of yourself, that you have to take other people's money because you're not willing to be equal with them and how dedicated and how hard they work. I know I'm getting off on a little bit of a rant here, but it bothers me when they pick and choose the data points they want to use, but they don't talk about pure equality. They only talk about one data point and say, well, he's got 1 trillion times more than I do. Yeah, he's worked 1 trillion times harder than you did too.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got, people like that, Mark, are very skilled in one particular area. They can hyper focus on things, and Musk has that ability to do that.
I mean, the guy lives in a shack on the Tesla grounds. That's basically where he lives the whole time.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I noticed that in the chat that there's some talk about SpaceX. One of them is like, what's the lockup period? And, we're seeing that all over the place. I think you have some information on that, don't you? Sam?
Yeah, and it really depends on who or how you bought those shares. So Fidelity right now was enforcing a 15-day lockup period if you were part of the IPO. If you do violate that, that could result in various bans from future IPOs. Depends on how many times you have violated that. SoFi, they have a 30-day anti-flipping window. And then Schwab doesn't have any, which is really interesting. So really, that's all to say. Just make sure what the brokerage you bought those shares from, their rules are if you did get those early IPO shares.
Yeah, and you know, and I get where everybody's coming from, because years ago it used to be, I think it was SEC regulated even. I'm not sure of that, but there was a lockup period like 6 months or 3 months or something like that. Now it seems to be platform imposed more than anything else.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that.
I don't know. Yeah. And from what I'm seeing, Schwab doesn't have any lockup.
That is, unless the IPO somehow is specifically stating there is one, they'll follow that.
Right. And I haven't seen that, so I don't know. If you're buying it and you're a investment steward, you probably shouldn't be worried about that, because you should be buying it for the long term, that you believe this is a long-term buy. Otherwise, you're just gambling.
Now, if you do buy it, though, and let's just say something crazy, and the next day it spikes 7,000%, wouldn't that be good stordship to maybe be like, okay, I'm going to lock that in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it would be very good. Maybe you bought it believing this is going to be a great long-term buy, and it goes up 10 times. Yeah.
I'd be willing to violate the lockup for that.
You should prune your profits, bring it back down to reality, and lock those profits in, because I don't know how often a stock can do that and keep that valuation, especially when it's starting off at a 94 price to sales.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a banger in the chat here, guys. Robert's saying, do the protesters have to pay income tax on their protest salaries? Which I guess
question.
Is $0, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's not $0, because most of the protests in the last, in quite a few years actually have been paid protests.
True.
The majority of them
subsidized, haven't they?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, my guess is they're paid cash, so they're probably not claiming it. Maybe they're claiming it as tips.
There you go. That's right.
Thanks, Trump.
Love that. 610-363-1110. Guys, markets yesterday just popped. They rose considerably. I think there was some excitement about SpaceX, but I think a lot more of it was actually pretty interesting, that Trump canceled the regularly scheduled programming of evening strikes against Iran. So I guess he announced that we were going to strike Iran, and then he canceled it.
Not just strike it, we were going to seize Karg Island and seize the whole oil production in Iran, and then he said, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
That seems like a pretty decent strategy for spiking the markets, is just announce that you're going to do something like that.
And they claim there's going to be a peace deal on Sunday or by Sunday, but in my opinion, any peace deal with Iran doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And, the markets are starting to turn down. I think the NASDAQ futures have dropped from positive now up 0.4% down to 0.15. And it seems like the S&P futures are coming down slowly. I just at the glance I could take here when I had a second. So I don't know what's going on. I wonder if a lot of people are getting concerned since the NASDAQ is the tech-heavy index, whether a lot of people are getting concerned about the IPO, and I don't know. We're going to see a lot of volatility for a while. SpaceX isn't just its own roller coaster. It is going to pull a lot of technologies around with it for a while. There's going to be a lot of disturbance. Get ready for it. I think who was it, George or somebody in our chat said, or Robert, somebody said, strap yourself in. and I totally agree with that for a while.
Make sure you can endure the G-force.
Yeah, that's so true. And what I'd really like to say is we have been talking for months now about getting realigned in your asset allocation so you're well diversified. We saw a couple of days ago that made total sense when some pullback happened. If you're well diversified, it didn't hurt you half half as much as it did others who weren't well diversified, but were all in the tech and those areas. So being diversified right now is one of those tools who help level out a little bit the ups and the downs of the roller coaster of the stock market. If you haven't locked in some profits, maybe the time is now to lock those in before it gets totally crazy. And I think that's whenever we go through volatile times, the risk is that you get pulled down with it if you've let all your tech or whatever sector is running up so much to go ahead and do that and not prune it back so that you've locked in those gains and you diversified more so that when it does pull back, because remember, the market is a cycle. It's a cycle of teasing you by giving you what you want, growth and that, and then it goes and tries to take it away like a lion in the jungle to eat your lunch, or eat you for lunch, So just remember, diversification is a good part of risk management. Pruning is stewardship. It's not fear. Pruning is locking in your profits, not fearing that they'll go away. It's just a godly way to work with godly money. And as stewards, you know that. You get to do that, and you will do that. And remember, I really appreciate that you do love the Lord enough to invest with biblical integrity. And if you got to go away, well, you can come out to financialissues.org and join us for the second half of the show and then overtime. We look forward to seeing you there.
As a member of Samaritan Ministries, your monthly share is a gift that goes directly to a real person in need. While that share takes care of the financial portion of a need, medical needs are complex and include the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects as well. While the financial gift is important, if we stop there, we miss an opportunity to minister to the whole need of our brother or sister. When you faithfully pray and send a note of encouragement and scripture along with your share, those words become a vessel of God's continued healing and blessing on the receiver. And the impact it has is immeasurable, bringing glory to God and provision and unity to His church. Glorify God with your health care. Send a note this month.
My baby was like this big. He's like this tiny little spectrum of hope and this unnamed beauty in a sense. It was poetic. And I saw his heart beating on the screen. And I mean, I went from, I don't want this baby, it's just a fetus, it's just cells put together, to talking to my child on the screen and feeling really protective and knowing that there's life growing inside. I mean, that sonogram changed my life. I went from just Candace to mom. I'm a mom.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
Navigating through investment options can be challenging, especially when you're determined to uphold your God-given values. Every dollar you invest is a vote for the world that you want to live in. Let your values guide your investment decisions and help to shape the culture in which we live. Become a beacon of light and pave the way with biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, where faith and finance collide. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
please, for mankind.
Mark, any similarities between today and that fateful day there back in 1969? Both space related, I might say.
You like that, huh?
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Hey, folks, listen, give us a call, 610-363-1110. We have officially lifted off. Trading has begun for SpaceX. Mark, I'm seeing we might not see information on how it's looking for at least another few moments.
Won't get quoted till 9:50, it looks like.
Yep. So if you're looking for information on your Fidelity or on other things like that, it might be a little bit of a delay.
It's a verdict.
Exactly
be
right.
patient. Yeah.
Hey, Mark, here's a great question that we got in our chat. Daniel from Tennessee is asking, what does Mark look at to determine if the market is overbought or oversold? As we discussed in the conference call, it was one of our topics. Daniel said, the oscillator I look at on my weekly, monthly charts show all the indices and their corresponding ETFs are overbought at the moment. What do you think, Mark, about that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The markets can be overbought and on a pullback. It could be both, so that's not an issue. There's a bunch of different things you could look at. One of the things that I use, though, to help me that a lot of people don't look at, it's just me, it's just the way I figured out some things earlier on. And one of them is that the bullish percent for the New York Stock Exchange. And what that is how many stocks are on a buy signal compared to how many stocks aren't. Right now, it's actually at 50%, which means that it doesn't determine whether overbought or oversold, but it determines how many, it gives you an idea of what the sentiment is on that market. So I look at that over things like relative strength index, where if it gets above 70, it's this way. If it gets below 30, it's sold. I like those. They're indicators, but also something very simple like looking at the average PE of the S&P 500 and comparing that with what it is today. So look at the average 10-year or the average 30-year even of the PE of that, and looking at the price to earnings, and you can see some in that. So there's a lot of different indicators. How do we know it's overbought right now? That a lot of the market is overbought because these indicators say so, for one. But if you look at the individual stocks in your portfolio, you'll probably see their PEs are elevated above their norm. They're way above it. If you want a shorter term thing, you could be looking at the 50-day, the price over the 50-day to see is the price of the stock over its 50-day moving average or its 200-day moving average. You can look at those things. Also, you've all heard of the death cross, and that's where the 50-day crosses down below the 200-day moving average, and that is a warning that it's being sold off. And the opposite is true when it moves above. So there's all these indicators. I'm saying all that. I'm just dumping out these thoughts because there's no one indicator that indicates it for me. You have to look at it all. And generally, when I'm looking at it in relationship to what I'm owning. And that's what you should be doing. Are the markets there? Here's another way. This is one indication that the markets are overvalued or overbought. When I go looking to I'm looking for stocks to put on the buy list at Financial Issues, and every one I come across, the valuation is through the ceiling. That indicates to me when I can't find a stock in 3 days worth buying, that indicates to me the markets are overbought. I'm going to call that the financial issue, overbought, oversold indicator. What do you think?
I think that's great. Daniel, it's a great question, brother. Appreciate you asking. 610-363-1110. Mark, let's go to the phones. Why don't we talk to Gary? Gary's calling from Tennessee.
Hi, Gary. Welcome to Financial Issues. What's on your mind today?
Well, our church has a $250,000 construction loan from a local bank, and a generous church member has offered to loan the money at 0% interest rate to pay that off. Is there any restrictions that you know of that both parties should be aware of on this?
Well, you got to be careful. Private loans, there are government regulations on that. Sometimes they'll impose a minimum interest that he should have been paid for this to be a loan. Okay, so doing that, he'll have to pay tax on that phantom interest, even if he doesn't receive it. So that might be something that you want to look into. Now, it might be different with churches. With loans to 501c3s. So you might want to look into that to find out. Talk to the church's accountant, that kind of stuff. Also, wow. There's always the relationship you got to be careful about.
That's what
happens if the church moves in a direction this gentleman doesn't like? Does he have control there that he shouldn't have? If he's not sitting on the board of elders, deacons, does he have control and influence that maybe the church doesn't want to give up because of his loan to the church? I don't know. Just a lot of prayer. He might be just an incredibly godly man and his desires to do this. If he needs the money sometime in the future, has he talked about that? Is there a payment schedule? Is there a promise from the church?
Something
is the church
in writing,
able
Mark,
to?
Right?
Yeah. Make it an official thing so that nobody gets hurt. Everybody knows what the terms are, and who's in control. That's the only thing I'd be looking at, Gary. Many times, churches have patrons within the church who do help with these kind of things. I don't want to say if he can afford to just donate it, but I would think that would be the best way to go to keep it clean. If he can't afford to donate it, then it needs to be very clear that he needs this money back in writing, and that the church is going to do that, and that the church has the ability, based on not only current but past revenues coming in from donations and grants and whatever, to make it happen.
Mark, you were very polite with that response, and I'm glad that you said that, because that was my first thought with it. Was if you can afford to pay the loan, why not just make it a gift, make it easy on everybody? If you don't need the money back for this guy, Gary, whoever this person is, just keeps it simple that way.
Yeah. And obviously he's got to tug at his heart to help the church.
Right.
So, but how he does that is between him and the Lord, not me and him.
That's right.
And he might just feel more comfortable. He might say, well, I can afford not to have this money for the next 10 years, but after 10 years, I need it for my retirement. You never know. So we'll leave it between him and the Lord, and your church and him. But I would highly suggest that everybody, as good stewards, sit down, talk about this, pray about this, get it down in writing to where everybody is happy with how the agreement is put together, and then move forward. And in the agreement, it's the amount, it's the payment schedule, it's everything that needs to be, so nobody gets upset. Even if the church goes in a direction he doesn't like, it doesn't matter, because it's in writing, and he knows the church has the right to do that. Okay?
Mark, I hope I'm not speaking out of term here, but Gary, what do you think he should do?
Yeah.
Well, I think first off, you should have a promissory note, and then go ahead and check with his CPA, because I'm not sure he's selling a piece of property, and I'm not sure whether or not the piece of property is an income property, and he'd have to pay for taxes on that, and what he'll have left on that. And then of course, I'm not sure how old this person is, and if he's over 65, then he's got to look at if he's on Medicare, he's got to add that to his income and what that will involve with that. So there's a lot of different questions. And I was just brought up with this, so I love
Gary. Gary, I love your perspective on this. You're looking out for the donor, for the person who wants to do this. You said more about making sure that it's done right for him than you did for the church. That's the heart that needs to be in this across the board. Everybody needs to be looking out for each other, come to the table together and saying, yeah, but we're concerned about this for you. We're concerned about that for the church. We're concerned about this for you. Go back and forth and work it out as brothers in the Lord, and make sure that you're all conscious this of that Jesus is sitting there with you guys, and that let him be the final say of it. If everybody can't get to a place of peace with this, I would say don't do it. Because in James chapter 3, 14 through 17, you read that, and it's very clear that we should, when we make a decision, there should be clarity. There shouldn't be smoke and mirrors. That the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceful, gentle, willing to yield, full of good fruits, without hypocrisy. So I think it's a wonderful thing. Thank you for making my day by bringing this up, Gary, in the sense that I love hearing that people are working together to move the kingdom of God forward. God bless you, sir. That is so cool of you and everybody else to be doing these kind of things to help get the word out. Just like we want to get the word out about investing with biblical integrity, we do that through the show every day. And if you are listening to us on anything but online, we would like you to know that when we go into overtime today, you can join us at financialissues.org live and join the chat there as well, financialissues.org. And obviously, you can join the whole show from financialissues.org every day, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
My wife and I help lead a Crossroads Kids Club, and one of the girls, she said, Mr. Dave, you keep talking about like you didn't really believe in Jesus and you were like dead or something, and then like you believed in Jesus and then you're like alive, and I want to receive that. And so we like just prayed there in our group to receive Jesus and owning this idea of life with Jesus for the first time.
Help reach kids with the hope of the gospel. Visit reachourschools.com.
Preborn is making motherhood possible for thousands of moms across America.
I found out that I was pregnant. My family, they were like, no, you're not having this baby. I met Miss Linda. She offered to get me an ultrasound. That's where I very first heard the heartbeat. It was really a great thing that I was led to the choice to keep him.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
The opinions and recommendations expressed on this program do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station or any of the program sponsors. Additionally, all products or services offered by the program sponsors may not be known by the program.
Folks, give us a call, 610-363-1110. Just a reminder, our phone lines are not being closed in 10 minutes because the show's not ending in 10 minutes like it usually does. We've got overtime today. So make sure, if you're listening on the radio or you're watching on a TV feed, make sure you have access to financialissues.org or the Financial Issues app. In fact, Mark, that's a good practice to get into in general. You will never lose financial issues if you have one of those two. Better to have both.
Absolutely.
So make sure that you got them. The app, the FISM app, go to your app store. It's free. FISM, just type that in, download it to your smartphone, or go to financialissues.org and click that watch button. Great thing to do. Mark, there's a good question here from Brian. He's 48 years old. It's a fantastic question. And he's saying it's really for my 10-year-old daughter who would like to invest $100 and more over time. How would you approach, Mark, her desire to invest money and honor God at the same time? I'm always grateful for your feedback. What do you think?
That is so cool.
Yeah,
I love this question. That your 10-year-old daughter is interested in investing and honoring God at the same time. That gives me chills to think about. What a great moment for you to not only bond with your daughter, but bond in mentoring her in the ways of a steward. I just think it's wonderful. I would think, actually, the moments that you can have with your daughter that you can establish going forward, especially going into her teen years and stuff, that you can connect with her by having this account set up, whether it's direct at Timothy Plan or at a Schwab or Fidelity or any account on any platform, where you two could sit down and look at what she owns, look at what it's doing, talk about what it means to be an investment steward, investing God's money for God's purposes to his glory. And then also how to give out of that, learning that it is God's money. And right off the bat, if we have gains, if we lock in some gains, maybe it's time to give back to the Lord, to donate to his ministries, his church, to good causes that your daughter gets to research and come up with as well. So you can mentor her in giving, you can mentor her in investing, you can mentor her in savings, you can mentor her in the ways of stewardship, financial stewardship here, step by step, without it being a lecture, but being a real-time, fun thing to do. Looking up stocks together, going out to screen it, clean it, and screening them and making sure they're in alignment with God's word and his desire of love for this world. You know, it's so exciting. I'm very happy for you. What would I invest in? How do you invest that? Well, because it's such a small amount, it's very hard to be buying individual stocks, because you'd be buying oftentimes fractions of stocks or minimum shares like one or two, which you don't always get the best prices. So you have the ETFs and the mutual funds, and you have those at Timothy Plan. Here's another angle on this that I think you might want to consider. I know a lot of the people at Timothy Plan, from the founder down, and they love the Lord. The majority of them are so God-centered, it's incredible. When you call into the Timothy Plan, you can hear and feel the difference. So maybe it would be a good time to make a call to the Timothy Plan and say, hey, my daughter would like to open up an account. She's a minor, so it probably would be a joint account, because when it comes down to it, I lean towards a joint account for a minor over an UGMA or an UTMA, because you never know where they're going to be when they're 18 and they take over this account. If they've fallen into the wrong group and they're on drugs, I've actually had the experience of a client who lost their son to a drug overdose because that happened, and he came into money and he got stupid with it, and he killed himself. So I'd rather be a joint account, so you can always see what's going on and you can mentor them to the future. And when you know that they hit it right, or it could they're running the right rail, the rail that God had laid for them, the path that laid for them, you could transfer it all over into and just remove yourself from the account or give the account over to them. But go there and open up an account and talk to the people at Timothy Plan. Let her talk to them as well. And that way she gets involved in the culture of investing with biblical integrity. It's a great thing.
That's awesome. You know, Mark, just to add a final quick thing there as well, and you nailed it with this. I'm so excited that Brian is not falling into the trap of thinking, well, my daughter's 10, so she's not going to understand it. The Lord Jesus himself said, let the little children come to me. Now, that was obviously a gospel pull, Mark. He was saying that they can have a personal relationship with me just like a grown-up can. And it was reminding grown-ups to make our hearts more like innocent hearts of children. But I also believe that principle applies to biblically responsible investing. Mark, kids can do it too. The kids can do it too. And you
can do it together.
Really well. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, think of lessons. Think of lessons you're teaching. When the account goes up, you can teach your gratitude on how to give, not greed. Yeah. When it goes down, you can teach them patience, not fear, realizing God is in control. And wherever it goes, it's okay, as long as you're doing your homework and you're managing it to the best that God has enabled you to do it. And the lessons that can be learned over time for your daughter, and the connection between you and your daughter are worth far more than that first $100. And by the way, I think that's a great idea. Just go for it. This is a good thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. God bless you, Brian. So cool. Mark, question from Tyler. He's 43. He says, I've got an aggressive growth portfolio. I got about $2,500 of new money. What do you recommend to do with the new money today, right now? Do I invest it, keep it dry in high yield savings, wait for market correction from a leaky tech bubble? If I were to invest, where would you advise? I really like the Timothy Plan ETF options. What do you think, Mark? What should Tyler do?
Yeah, Tyler, I'm right with you on that. I like the ETF options. $2,500 going into some of those ETFs, especially, I know they're new and they haven't proven themselves, but using free cash flow as a basis for screening stocks out to find the financial issue steal, as we call it, in a stock is a good indicator. So this may be a conservative, but it's still a growth fund. The Timothy Plan, the TPCG new ETF might be great for that money. I like the direction you're heading with it. I don't think there's any rush to get in it at this moment. Personally, I would see this today as a day to be like at the movie theater, watching the ups and downs of the movie, but being careful. If you want to move in today, that's fine too. No big deal. Over the long run, it's not going to make that much of a difference. But the markets could be whiplashed around today. And I'm just saying that sometimes it's just good to sit back and watch the world go by and realize that there's no rush in it today. But if you believe, if God has put on your heart that it needs to get invested, I like the Timothy Plan ETFs as well. I think that's a good move.
Absolutely. Mark, the one other aspect of this that I noticed with Tyler is being 43 in an aggressive growth portfolio. He's got a lot of time's on his side. My tendency, and Mark, you can speak to this, tell me if I'm off base or not. My tendency is I'd be less concerned with waiting for the market correction and more concerned about getting in when I'm ready and resolving to stay in.
No, I totally agree. That's why I said if you feel like you want to get in now, get in. Don't wait. Actually, I thought he posted this because he was hoping I'd say buy SpaceX, but I'm not gonna say that. It's not gonna happen.
Well, you just said it, but you didn't. It wasn't in the exact sentence. You still
Somebody could clip that out. That part of Mark saying buy SpaceX, and they just clip it out and repeat it. Buy SpaceX. Buy SpaceX.
You just said it like a political ad.
That'll happen, won't it?
Exactly right. Exactly.
If somebody wants to come after me, there you go. It's just kind of crazy.
Yep. Speaking of which, guys, overtime coming in about 2.5 minutes or so. We will be looking at SpaceX because we'll be able to have some of that live data there. So I just got to say, Mark, one more time, if you're not able to get to overtime, make sure that you are able to. The way to do it is to get to financialissues.org/watch or the FISM app. Or you can also watch us on our social streams too, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble. But we'll be talking about all that and a lot more, Mark. I'm excited for it.
And Roku too, don't forget.
And Roku, that's right. That's right.
Watch us on the big screen.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I like that idea. I prefer watching things like this on the big screen. It just makes it more fun, makes it feel like you're there more. Also, you can have it up on your app and on the big screen, so you can be in the chat as well.
Yep.
So
you're double dipping, FISM maxing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
FISM maxing,
as the youths would say online.
The Samster.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, one more thing here too, guys. The conference call from yesterday is posted. So after you listen to Overtime, once that's finished in a little over half an hour, and you didn't get the chance to listen to the conference call, go and listen to it. Or if you want to go back and listen to it again, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to that conference call again. Really, really good information there. And once again, that's information that is privy to partners only. So if you're not a partner with FISM and you want to listen to that conference call, become a partner today. $132 a year. That's one of the many benefits that you get is those monthly conference calls. You can do that, financialissues.org. Click that Become a Partner button. Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. I just saw Scott in our chat saying it's funny that all the space stocks and ETFs are significantly down today.
They're sad.
Everybody thought that Elon Musk rockets would be pulling them all up, but remember, things change very quickly as all across the board. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for loving the Lord. Thank you for investing with integrity. But don't go away, because today is overtime, and we're going to have a lot of fun in overtime, because we get to have a lot of fun by talking about what's important to you, and that's being a investment steward.
If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation going under.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an FISM production.